All right, man. Welcome back to the show. We finally picked a name, the middle class.
The middle class.
So I think it works out pretty good for the things we talk about and us kind of being in the middle class and us coming from even below the middle class. I think, I think a lot of people can relate to the things that we talk about and us still living in the middle class. So I think it works out really well because I think a lot of people that are influencers show things that are not at that level for everybody. They say things they don't, and they mean well, but it doesn't fit the class that most of Americans are in. And yeah, they are relatable for minor things, but I think the show's about what we always have been doing about is speaking the truth and real life experiences and where we really stand with things and how we've overcome real struggles in life and what the steps we've taken. And I think the middle class name fits. So welcome to the middle class.
Middle class. I like it. And when I think middle class too, I think of not like social class, but like a learning class, like a school class.
Yeah.
And it's like we've had all this education up to this point of our lives, and now we're in this middle class, and the lessons we're learning in this class. And then there'll be the later classes at the end of our lives, because we're always going to be learning, but we're going to be learning different things throughout life. Right now, you're in the middle class. Everything you're learning in the middle of your life.
That's actually a pretty good way to put it, because you are always learning. And I think when you hit that age when, you don't need to work or you're in a safe spot and it's your call to how you live your life at that point,
Exactly.
So,
That's a lot. That's a hard place to be in. Comfort is oftentimes the enemy. Mm-hmm. It's great to have a comfortable life and have all your needs taken care of, even everything you want. But that also breeds laziness, lackadaisicalness, whatever you want to call it. And there's something to be said about being hungry and getting after it.
Yeah.
And knowing what you want to do and like working your way to that. And we see it too often to where people like either grow up comfortable or they're at a point in their life where they're comfortable and they stop chasing shit.
Yep.
And then they have like no fulfillment, or they work really hard. They get to where they want to go, and then they get there and they're like, well, what the fuck next? Like I did it. Like, okay, now what? And then it actually feels worse because they took away their own purpose.
Yeah.
So it's a shitty place to be in. So I believe you said you wanted to touch on just getting too comfortable.
Yeah, I think a couple months ago, last summer, when I came out to your house and stayed the night over there, when I went out with you and Kelsey, she brought up the fact I was talking about, like, I just didn't know, I felt stuck in life. I didn't know, like, I'm good at photography. And one thing that you've always shined a light on is I do have my hands in a lot of things. And you're like, just focus on one. And I do like evaluate myself and where I rely in life, where my needs can go and how can I help people. And that's something I've always loved, is like teaching people and helping people, bringing the best out in people. And she always asks, she's like, well, you're always cheering everybody on. You're always everybody else's cheerleader, like who's cheering you on. Like, what do you want? Like, this is what you're good at. And I always still, like, I don't know, over the last year, I've reflected on her saying that and like you pulling that out of me that night. I'm like, man, like, what is my purpose? Like, why am I here? Is it just to be a dad? Is it just to, be a mechanic now, or like before it was mixing mud? But I realized that your life is so long, if you live well, that you're going to have multiple reasons why you're here.
Oh yeah.
People stress about, like, what are they good at, or what is my purpose? And they get depressed, they get complacent. And stepping out of that comfort zone and reevaluating yourself, like you said in the last episode, like figuring out what you're good at. And sometimes it takes people like you and Kelsey who told me, like, no, this is what you're good at.
Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of people don't even see for themselves what their strengths are.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what my strengths were. Like I was talking last episode, I didn't know I had a knack for explaining things and teaching things to people that I understand.
Yeah.
And how that can be applied in other areas, and how I can actually make a great living just doing that. Yep. And I didn't think about that. I thought I had to be a certain type of person or do certain things in order to succeed. And that's not true at all. Or I didn't have what it took, to be a real estate agent, coming from an infantryman in the Army to, a guy working at the way stations to a real estate agent. I didn't think I had what it took, but there is something to be said about having that solid friend, that those people in your corner that say, no, actually you have that, like you're good at this or you're good at that. And you make some adjustments or you lean into it and master it, you're going to be unstoppable. And hearing that from someone else, it can be life-changing, because that is the validation that you needed.
Yeah.
You thought, well, maybe I could do this. It'd be a dream.
Yeah.
That's what we hear all the time. Oh man, it'd be a dream to be just a full-time videographer, photographer, travel the country and do whatever. It's like, it doesn't have to be a dream.
Yeah.
Like you got what it takes. Like, okay, so what's fill in the blanks? You can do this. You know what you're doing. Here's what you want to do. Let's just come up with a plan.
Yeah.
Like what could,
Yeah, I think it's speaking as a photographer side of things and not my other side hustles. That photography side of me has been with me since I was, 15. But I didn't start chasing my dream until 2015, and I didn't get recognized from companies until 2018.
Yeah.
And when I won like Backcountry Photographer of the Year, I was like, wow, that's huge. And then when like my Instagram blew up finally after like wow, I want to be big on Instagram, like Ben Brown and all the guys I looked up to back in the day, and seeing where they are now, and seeing how like Ben Brown's instance, he was falsely living a life that was just showcasing something, but behind the doors, like he was having problems within his relationship, problems with mental health and everything else. Like he was chasing a dream that he loved so much, but wasn't pure to himself. And I think me now, where I am now, like I'm content. Like, yeah, I look at myself, I do consider myself a very professional photographer, but does everybody know who I am? No. Do I have 50,000, 100,000+ followers on Instagram on that side of my page? No. But I am happy with where I am now. And I think people look at things that are chasing a dream and they know they're going to be there. Keep going for it. Keep chasing the dream. I've been chasing mine a long time, but along the way, life's threw 3 kids at me. Life's threw divorce at me. Life is through living paycheck to paycheck. And I think if you just keep writing it out, keep moving forward, and have someone like you or yourself tell you that this is what you're good at, reevaluating your situation. But for me, it was always chasing these things, but I didn't know. I always just said yes to everything. And being a yes man can run you to the ground. And saying yes to everybody, I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there. But what are you benefiting from it? Is it going to be worth more to you to take every job that comes through your door that doesn't fit your 100% style, that you're not going to give your 100% to, that you're not going to basically give your all to and give your best work? That is just going to be a preset click, or you're just going to do half-ass on a grout job for tile work and take the person for their money.
Yeah.
And when you start evaluating your work and stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes to the things that you enjoy, you're going to start being more happier, and you're start going to see bigger, better clients come your way.
Yeah. There's a saying I always go back to regarding that, and it's everything you say yes to, you're saying no to something else.
That's really good.
So if you're saying yes to, say, working a lot, what are all the things you're saying no to by working this much? Or if you're saying yes to, taking the day off early, or, like, I just don't feel like doing it today. What are you saying no to? You're saying no to more opportunities, possibly more money, possibly, all these different things. So, every decision I make, when someone hits me up and they're like, hey, you want to do this or do that? Or I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Do you want to be part of it? Yeah. And I'm like, man, that does sound cool. I think I can bring value. It's something I enjoy doing, and it's something that could, open up other opportunities for me. Then yes, okay, I do want to do it. Mm-hmm. Okay, what am I saying no to? Well, I'm probably saying no to some free time. I'm saying no to time with my kids potentially.
Yeah.
And if these benefits outweigh the things that I'm saying no to, then it's a good decision for me.
Yes. And I think for the parents out there, like you just said, you're sacrificing time away from your family. I think one, as long as your spouse is understanding. For me afterwards, my divorce, I always thought like me being worked on so much was a problem. But in reality, I had asked her and it was not the case. Like she was very supportive of like obviously living in a van and doing all the crazy things I did with my photography and videography. It was never the problem. And as long as you know in the back of your mind and you believe that this thing I'm chasing has value and it does bring in some money, not a lot right now, and you realize and she realizes, or you yourself as a single person understand like, yeah, I'm missing out on, 3 weeks or time with my kids, but, or a couple of hours, but that value is going to, in return, a week later, it could bring you a new client, for selling a home, or, me, a new client to do photos for, or someone to contract me out on the slope for another job for a week to come home with a couple grand,
Yeah.
It's all about just understanding that and believing that the time where you spend your time has value to it. And not all things need to come with the value of a dollar. And I think that guys that are chasing their money and they know I only do work for money, I totally get it. I really do. But sometimes you have to give to get. And to help, like me to you, we've always helped each other out. Like, you sold my house, you made money on the house, or like I've helped Will out and he's made money on contracts, and vice versa. Like it's always brought value somehow. We've never traded dollar for dollar yet, and it's always just our time with each other has made us money on our own, and it's always worked out, I think. And I think that's, some people should look at that more often, is that where they spend their time, who they spend their time with, and where they're giving up their time for, and realize that the long run is going to pay off.
Yeah. I just recently took inventory on how I'm spending most of my time.
Yeah.
And obviously there's like office time, and that's broken down in of itself. Like, all right, how much time am I actually spending on emails, phone calls, networking, running around town, everything has a different worth for my time. So as much as I can pay somebody to do some of those things, I will. Like, it's not worth my time to drive 45 minutes, all the way out to Talkeetna or Willow or something like that to put a yard sign when I can pay somebody to go and do that.
Exactly,
So that time actually does have a monetary value to me when you're running a business, right? Yes. And then there's the time where I'm home, and I broke that down. It's like, okay, obviously I sleep this much a night. What am I doing for the other 4 to 6 hours a day? Obviously there's meals in there, there's working out, there's, all these, like showering, getting ready, all that stuff. But that still leaves probably a good 2 to 3 hours of just like open, available time for me to do whatever the hell I want. And I realize that like I'm just spending way too much time on like my phone or Netflix, like that escapism after a long day.
Yes.
And it's like, man, I really should be better about where I'm placing my time. There's time that makes you money, and then there's time that is even more important, and that's with the people you love.
Yeah.
Right. And for most people, those two different times, they don't correlate. Like when we are working, we're on company dime or we're on contract dime. We're trading our time for money, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
And until we can start acquiring more and more leverage to buy our time back. Right. And then there's the time that we actually do have to ourselves that isn't for income related or business related time. And you gotta take inventory of both. If you're finding wasted time on both ends, it's gonna add up, and you're gonna look back on your life and be like, dude, I wasted months on Netflix when I could have been, playing Candyland with the kids or, doing something else. So it's eye opening for sure. And I just did it, and there's a lot of guilt also that comes over me when I see that, and then I look at my kids and they're so big. Yeah. I mean, they're about to be 4 and 6. But they're like, to me, that they're big, they're still my babies. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, you guys are so freaking huge. And I feel like it's been a blur since you've been born. And it's just like been me figuring it out. And like work, escape, work, escape. And like, I don't want to do that forever and then have you guys be gone and then be like, what happened? So
Exactly. Yeah.
it's definitely eye-opening and life-changing for sure to do that. So if you resonate with that or you understand that, I highly implore you to look at your money-making time and how effective it is, and then look at your relationship building time and your me time.
Yeah.
And see if you're actually being effective with it. Because a lot of people say they don't have time for something. Really? I bet you I can find some time for it, especially if it's something that's going to make you better, like going to the gym or playing with your kids or reading or anything. Like I can show you some time. You're just not making it.
And that's the thing is, man, if people always make time, I guarantee you doing it too, the person that's watching this, I guarantee you make time for the things that you value or the things that you enjoy. People change habits and change their schedule for the things that they enjoy. People will change time for people that they want in their life. And that's the thing. If it doesn't, it has to spark something in somebody for them to change something. But again, for like you just evaluating your time, the one thing I did recently at the beginning of the year was I know how much time I'm not watching TV. Like I hardly watch TV at all. The TV's on constantly for the kids out here. And I just tried to start watching a show this last weekend. And it was the first time I even said, like, man, that's the first time I've sat down to watch a show in a long time. Or like taking time. I try to take time once a week to just shut everything down, watch one movie, like just decompress. And because I work, for me, is like I get up way before I even need to work. Work starts at 5 a.m. for me. So I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, starting an hour before that, getting out there. So 2 hours before my 6 o'clock meeting is me time. I am focused on morning schedules, checking analytics, posts, things like that. But how it was worded to me was by an old boss, and I didn't look at it until recently again. So one of the things I did was I sat down and went on Google Calendar and I just time blocked everything. Like when did I get up? When did I go to bed, and et cetera. Everything I did, start, stop, I wrote it all down on my Google Calendar and I highlighted it. And that was for being at work and starting out my day because I work out of town. And it showed me how much more time I could get by focusing on employee work, working for my company, to what time I had during the day I could work for myself. Whether it was sitting in the truck while letting somebody else drive, cool, I got 40 minutes on this drive to focus on my shit. After work, I go to eat with the guys, come back. Now I got from 6, I know I can stay up till 11 at the latest and do all my stuff. From 6 to 11, I can work out, I can study, I can go back to the shop and work on some other hustle of mine, or just sit down and focus on photography and media. And it really shows where your time is spent, and seeing that helped me so much. And I created a schedule. Okay, morning stuff is strictly analytics, emails, getting back to everything, writing my to-do list for the day, whether it's work for a company or work for myself. I need a to-do list because I feel like I accomplished more, and it's reset something in my brain to where you accomplished this list today. Good job.
Yeah, you won the day.
Don't get everything done, that's fine. And the biggest thing, like Goggins said, do the hard thing first. And man, like since I've done that, it's like, man, I really don't want to fucking do that, but let's go do it.
Yeah. It makes everything else you do that day so much easier when you do the hard thing first.
It really does. And that's how I am at home now. And when I came home, it's, I'm dad. And I did the same thing. I wrote down how much time am I going back to the school, getting Bowie from preschool. It's 2 hours. So I have a 2-hour window to go get groceries or come home. And then Ellie, same thing. Boom, I got to pick her up at 3:45. Now I have 4.5, 5 hours to take care of 2 of the boys. What can I do in that time? What are they doing? And what can I be doing while they're just being kids? And so I find myself during the day, like editing, sitting here watching a movie. I'm still present with them, still interacting with them. But in between, I am sitting here in the kitchen, living room area, doing this stuff. And that really showed me like, holy shit, like the kids take up my time from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at night. I am dad mode in between trying to run a business. And then afterwards, it's like, okay, I am so worn out. I'll find myself in bed with like Cooper and watching a cartoon or a movie like that, trying to get them down. And I'll be like lately I've been like studying my mountaineering guidebook and like going over my notes, like what do I need for these big climbs this year, and where did I fail last year, what can I do better. And I'm reading my book, and I'm like still interacting with the movie, saying, repeating things to him, and trying to be present, still being a dad.
Yeah.
But like when I was at work last time, I asked you, like, yeah, I kind of shut my phone off and like I'm dad mode from like here to here, and then husband from here to here. It's like, fuck. Like, one, have nobody, and then two, it's I'm with the kids all day, but you're not always with the kids. Like, I can see how it's necessary for someone that does work in town that doesn't get the free time I have to. It's important for them to set the time aside.
Yeah, for you, it's very drastic. You're away completely and you're 100% work.
Yeah.
Or you're home completely and work on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I do that daily.
Yeah.
Where I go to work and I come home. I go to work and I come home. And it's two completely different lifestyles. And for your lifestyle, you just explained how you do it. And for me, yeah, I do have, okay, this is our morning routine that we do together as a family. We started incorporating things that we all do together to get ready for the day, right? Because we want to build those good habits for our kids of like, okay, this is what your morning routine should look like. And like, this is normal, instead of just like fumbling through the morning, right? If we can help them to realize that having a routine and getting things done in the morning and then being out the door ready for the day is normal, then that's like huge for me. That's a huge win in the parenting book for me, because they're going to take that and hopefully keep applying it throughout life to like, it's just normal that I get up and we make breakfast together, or I work out or read, or, we talk for the first 20, 30 minutes that we wake up while I'm having a cup of coffee, instead of just like immediately turning the TV on or something, So, we have to be structured like that for not only my kids' sake, for parenting, but for my sake too. It's like, I want to show up to the office ready to go. I don't want to have a whole nother routine as soon as I get to work to start, actually wanting to get shit done.
Yeah.
And then the opposite for when we get home. Like, we have a routine for when we get home. Like, the kids always want a snack as soon as they get home from school, right? So and I usually want a snack. By, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, all right, we're gonna have a snack together, talk about each other's days. We have probably another couple hours to goof off, hang out, and before we have to start making dinner, we've started incorporating them into making meals more. Yeah. So teaching our kids to cook from a young age has become something that Kelsey and we've really started to be more purposeful about.
That's a good one.
Because her mom loved to cook for the family. That's how she gave love, right? Yeah. She's like, come here, let me cook for you. Like, that was her way of showing love. And Kels loved that growing up. But then now as an adult, she looks back and she's like, fuck, like, I wish, and like, I love my mom for doing that, but I really wish she would have been like, no, you do it, and forced me to learn some stuff, because like she'll tell me all the time, like, I didn't learn how to start cooking until we got together, because my mom did it. Like, that was her thing. Cooking was her thing. Like, I know how to clean, I know how to do all that. But, and she was like, I don't want that to be our kids. I don't want our kids to go out into the world and just like not know how to cook or grocery shop or budget or anything like that. Right. But to get back to routines, right? So we have our dinner routine, which we involve them in because we have to eat, right? But then there's all that time afterwards. And that's where, okay, we have, nighttime showers, nighttime routine. And with the free time we get, I started to feel guilty after the kids went to bed that all Kels and I would do was watch TV. Yeah. I'm like, oh, we're just sitting here watching Netflix or Hulu. We're watching our shows. Like, we've gone through like series, right? Like, we'll sit down and we'll watch a whole series. I think this last one we just did was Sons of Anarchy. We started that from the beginning, and it took us like 4 months of watching it every night to finish the series. But I was thinking about it a few weeks ago, and I'm like, every time we do this, we're actually like sitting together. We're usually like touching or snuggling, and we're talking about the show as we watch it. We're not just two individuals watching TV, we're watching it together. And when we watch good shows, like interesting shows, like especially like reality shows, we find ourselves taking 3 hours to watch a 1 hour long episode because we keep pausing it and we're like, well, what do you think of this? Like, do you think he made the right judgment call there? Should he have said that to her or not? Like, how do you feel about it? And then she'll be like, well, he's kind of, an asshole or whatever, especially at reality shows, because that's like our guilty pleasure, you know. It's like, and then but like seeing all that interpersonal drama, and it's like, well, is he right or is she right?
Yeah.
And we sit there and talk about it, and it made me realize, like, okay, this is okay for us to spend this time watching TV. We're not numbing ourselves or escaping reality. We're just, you know, being entertained together and watching it together. You know, we don't always have to be doing like romantic dates every night when the kids go to bed, or
the
like
simple things.
looking deep into each other's eyes and having a deep conversation every single night. Or, you know, it's okay to sit on the couch with your spouse and watch a show and snuggle and talk about a show.
Yeah, or not say a word to each other. You know, you're
and not say a word.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do feel guilty when we both agree that we're going to watch something, and then we both end up like on our phones, not watching it. And I'm like, okay, we need to reset
That's what I
here.
was getting ready to ask you is like, when you shut down that time or you're watching a show, like we do get on our phone, but I'm still listening. I'm still like, I'm not like not watching. I'm listening and I am looking up, you know, when things are happening or like a slow moment.
Yeah.
But I'll sit on the computer and I'll find myself not on the computer. I'll find myself watching, or I'll find myself on the computer, but listening. And then like, oh, fuck, what did I miss? I'll rewind it, you know? But sometimes I regret doing that when I was, you know, with my ex. But at the same time I guess it depends on your situation. You know, is it okay with you? Is it okay with the other person? Do you need to be like doing that work on the computer? Do you need to be on your phone, like studying that guy? Do you need to be researching that camera, or, you know, looking at the next property? But
everybody's different though. And I mean, Kelsey and I have been together. We're going on 12 years married.
Yeah.
And like, we figured it out. Like, this works. Like, we don't like when both of us are on our phones, like actively doing things and not paying attention to the thing that we both agreed we wanted to do together. Yeah. Even if it is just watch TV. Like, we both agreed, hey, let's watch this show tonight. And yet here we are purposefully on our phones. Whereas sometimes, like, you'll text me or somebody will text me while we're watching something. I'll pick my phone up, I'll respond, and then I'll go back to it. Like, the phone is doing things to me and I'm dealing with it instead of me doing things to the phone, you know? So, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, every couple is different. Every person is different. Yep. You know, some people just literally want to be in the same room with their partner. And like, that's okay. Like, you be on the computer, I'll be on the TV. We might talk to each other every now and then. And then there's some people that are like, no, like, the only time we spend together is when everything is turned off and it's just us. And like, that's how it needs to be. And it's different for everybody, but I think that's definitely something that you should like communicate and decide on, like, in the dating phase. Like, okay, what does just spending time together look like? Like, do we have to be doing something like super purposeful or into it? Or like, do you just like chilling, just being close to each other?
Yeah, not saying a word, just content with each other's presence next to each other. You know, that's something I benefit from. Like, I don't have to, reset a boundary for myself where I just want somebody that's content with just being in the room with me. I don't need to swaddle you and wow you and talk to you the entire time. Like, we have a whole life here. Like, I'm going to talk to you a lot over my whole life. I don't need to talk to you every second of the day, you know? Like, just be happy. Like, let's just chill, watch a movie and relax. Like, how often do you get to not have kids in a room and just have each other there and relax?
Experience quiet.
Exactly. Not talk about the bills or what's for dinner or what are we doing later this weekend. But I think to like wrap this up, to come around to it, is knowing things to help you find your purpose comes down to reevaluating yourself, evaluating your time, work time, and there's also personal time, you know, where you're spending your time, evaluating your relationships in your life, whether it's with a spouse or a girlfriend or husband or a boyfriend, and also trying to be a parent. If you are a parent, how much time are you giving to your kids? Everyone's work is different. Everyone's life is different. Everyone's schedule is going to be different. But remember, it's what's important to you is only going to be get done on that list is what you find valuable to yourself. You'll never, I wouldn't say never, but it's going to take longer to get out of the situation you're in if you don't start valuing the things that are hard, doing the things that are hard, and stepping back and looking at the bigger picture that You might not be making money at that yet, but the value going into it is going to pay off in the long run.
Oh, absolutely.
And ask people, like, what do you think you're good at? What do you think my purpose is? You know, and for me is I still dwell on it. Like, what is my purpose here? You know, but I've taken a step back and I've evaluated. I know that I love spending time with people. I love pushing people to the limit of like getting things out of them. I love pushing people to accomplish something and like teaching them things and getting them excited or things like that. And having people, showing people an experience in life and also capturing people's memories. And I was like, wow, you guys are right. I am good at those things. Now, how do I take those things and do what I love? How do I teach people? How can I give people an experience with my photography? And that's when I reevaluated everything this year. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is my new business plan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's taking inventory of what am I good at? What is there a market for? And, you know, is it something that I want to build a future doing? You know, make that leap between something being a hobby to something being like a career, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, for the time piece of it, you know, you can't do these things unless you know what you're doing with your time. Yeah. You know, for you, you're an oil field North Slope worker and an amazing photographer. What does it look like for you to go from one end to another full time? And it's time, and it's what you're willing to do with that time to get over here. Yep. And it's the time old saying, man, time is money. And what do you do when you're running low on money? Yep. You budget it.
Exactly.
Right now in the middle class and being middle-aged, elder millennials, our time is getting more and more scarce. Yeah. Between our working, our obligations, our family, our spouses, everything we have going on in our lives, time is getting more and more scarce. Yeah. It's way more scarce than it was in our 20s, where we just had like pretty much all day to do whatever we wanted, right? And we don't have that luxury anymore. No. So what do we need to do? We need to budget our time. Mm-hmm. Just like with money, you give every dollar a name. You give every dollar a purpose. Mm-hmm. You know, am I spending this money wisely? And now am I spending these minutes wisely? Yeah. And it's the same concept. And it took me probably like 10 years to finally figure it out. I've always heard, you know, time is money, time is money, time is money. And I always heard, when someone would say that is, I need to trade my time for money. Yeah. If I want more money, I got to get more time. Yeah. And now I'm starting to realize, no, it's about spending money, spending time, the exact same thing.
Exactly it. Because, you know, you spent $1,000 on that car part, you gave up fucking a week, you know? Yeah. So me, it's like, I'm giving up time. I give up days, weeks from civilization, you know? It's like, I come back home, it's like, wow, I just gave up a week of my life for a fat paycheck, but it's cool. I have it in the bank. Well, what am I going to do with it? And then I go spend it. It's like, man, that's a week right there. There's 3 days.
Yep. And that's, you know, that ties back into our previous conversation of why people are making moves like they are, especially at this age. And with what we do is we want to start finding ways that we can eventually start buying time back. Yep. For me in real estate, there are all those tasks that I need to do for my job, but I am actively looking for leverage. Who can I hire to go and do this job? Who can I hire for this job? Who can I hire for that job? And that is literally me buying my time. That's right. You know, that hour it took to go do that task, I paid somebody $50 to do it. I get that hour back. And then do I make more than $50 an hour? Yeah, I do. I can afford that. Like, that is a good expense. If I'm not making $50 an hour, I probably shouldn't make that expense, right? Exactly. If my business isn't doing good enough to comfortably do that, then guess what? I'm doing it. I'm the hustler, you know? But the goal is to constantly be building your business, building your side hustle to the point where you can start getting that leverage. Yep. So
I think people that are watching, like, if you don't know what your purpose is when you're listening to this conversation, now you're thinking about, what is my purpose? And this is it for me. Just realize, like he's saying, try things, try everything. You'll never know what you're going to love or hate until you just try it. And if you've tried everything, okay, well, what do you enjoy the most? What did you enjoy the most? And what brought you the most joy? Because I hate seeing people work a job they fucking hate unless they have to. And if you have to, then get everything you can to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, there's no sadder story than the person that works their whole lives, pay taxes, and dies.
Exactly it.
That's not going to be us.
No, not
We're
at
going to do
all.
everything we can to stop it. So yeah, I mean, finding your purpose is half the fun of living a purposeful life.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to go out and you're going to have all this fun and experience, like trying different shit till you find out like, holy crap, like this is something I'm good at. This is something the world needs and something that, you know, I'm capable of doing. And that's going to end up being your purpose. And if you never find that, a good go-to is just, my purpose in life is just to be a little bit better than I was yesterday.
Exactly.
If you can't find anything at all, just, yeah, that's a freebie for you guys. If you can't find a purpose at all and you're completely lost, your new purpose is just to be 1% better than you were yesterday. Exactly. And guess what? During that journey, having that mindset, you're going to see the world differently and you're going to have opportunities you never would have thought because you had that purpose. And then you're going to find something that you're like, holy shit, this is it. And you're going to jump in and you're going to be fulfilled beyond measure.
Self-evaluation is highly important, and doing 1% extra a day, like we said last week in the episode, pays value tenfold over and over again over time.
Absolutely.
So no, man, that's great. That's a great conversation. I hope a lot of people can take that, what we talked about today, and realize that there is more to life than the day by day that you're living right now, and that you're not alone in trying to figure out what you're going through or what your purpose is here. So hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, you got it.